Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, the President of the Republic of Kenya, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. There's no doubt that the launch of the 5th National Action Plan for the period 2023-2027 marks a commencement of yet another remarkable journey for the transforming service delivery in our country for the benefit of the people of Kenya. This plan represents a crucial step in our country's commitment to transparency, accountability, and citizen engagement. It focuses on key areas such as climate action, digital government, anti-corruption, and civic space, with the aim of fostering a more inclusive, responsive, and resilient government aligned with the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto. It is prudent for us to recall that the predecessor, that is the 4th National Action Plan, sought to institutionalize issues relating to welfare and rights of women, peace and security, through policy and ministries, counties, departments, and government agencies. Under the 4th plan, we boldly confronted climate change impact, violent extremism, gender-based violence, forced migration and human trafficking, and humanitarian disasters with remarkable outcomes. The success in the implementation of the OGP commitment in NAP4 and the continuing interventions provide us with the copybook springboard for implementation of NAP4. Without doubt, therefore, the new plan will enable us to build on the gains and momentum generated through the implementation of the previous national action plans. Your Excellency, allow me to briefly touch on the OGP commitment number 6 and 7, which has just been shown to us, that actually touch on the institution that I do represent, that is the Senate. And OGP commitment number 6 and 7, namely public participation, legislative and physical openness, the plan outlines the major objectives as being to enhance transparency, inclusion, and accountability in the legislative and budget processes, ensuring open and trusting relations between concerned stakeholders. Your Excellency, this commitment is anchored on Article 118 of the Constitution, which declares the Parliament shall facilitate public participation and involvement in the legislative and other businesses in Parliament, in the legislative through its committees and at plenary level. Similarly, Your Excellency, Article 174 of the Constitution, especially on devolution, it advocates for open, democratic, and accountability exercise of power and give the power of self-governance to the people and enhances the participation in the exercise of powers of the state and in making decisions that affect them. Now, to give life to these edicts of the Constitution, Parliament has enacted laws and approved policies and guidelines that have elevated the role of the citizen in decision-making and opened government processes and decisions to intense scrutiny. As the chaperone of devolution and Article 96 of the Constitution, the Senate has relentlessly mainstreamed transparency, inclusivity, and accountability in the legislative oversight and budget processes. Members of Parliament and senators working through plenary and House committees have remained diligent in holding county governments and national government and the leadership to account as they discharge their mandates. Your Excellency, one of the pieces of legislation that is extremely key in this regard, especially touching on OGP on NAP 6 and 7 is public participation. The judiciary, through our courts, have pronounced themselves on this particular issue. The Senate has harvested quite a number of views from the judiciary, from other stakeholders, and through that, the Senate has managed to formulate a piece of legislation called the Public Participation Bill. That bill has gone through all the stages in Parliament. It is now at the second stage in the National Assembly. And I believe that piece of legislation, one passed and assented to by the President, will put to rest the issue of public participation. Your Excellency, if you will recall, 95% of the cases against government that are lying in the judiciary are all about public participation. That the citizens were not given enough time, that the stakeholders were not given ample time to make their case or to contribute to what government intended to do, whether through policy or through law. And I believe, therefore, that once that piece of legislation is passed, we will see very minimal, if any, cases being taken to the judiciary. Again, under OGP NAP number 7, that is access to information, Your Excellency. I'll give you a very practical experience why it is important for us as government to run away with these commitments that have been given here, the 9 commitments, especially on the access to information. Yesterday, Your Excellency, I was flying from Mombasa to Nairobi at 3:45. And as I was waiting for the delayed flight, of course, because of the strike, I had the opportunity to engage with KAA staff. And I asked them, why are you on strike? Your Excellency, I was not given any tangible reason other than the fact that there is a lot of information they had heard and picked from the social media. And because of that information and acting on that information on the social media, they went on strike. That is what I was told. Meaning, as a government, if we commit to have this information get to the people before the social media culprits take this information to the people. And you know, Your Excellency, most of the social media information is a fact not verified. And this is where most of our citizens pick information, pick facts, and act on those facts. So again, with this commitment, I believe as government, if we can be able to be committed and be able to package or to unpackage this information to our citizens long before the keyboard warriors take that space, we will not be able to see what we have seen today. Now, Your Excellency, I was listening to our government spokesperson yesterday. And I talked to quite a number of people after his press conference. Many Kenyans believe that this government has negotiated and signed a deal with Adani. But the position is no such deal, no such contract has been signed. But this information was not given to the public. It was left to keyboard warriors. So again, with these commitments, Your Excellency, I believe as government, if we can be able to commit to these commitments that have been given here, then the kind of misinformation that is there will be a thing in the past. Your Excellency, you know exactly what we went through with the finance bill. Again, misinformation. The finance bill was the best piece of a bill. It was a document that was going to take this country far. But because of misinformation, because citizens maybe were not engaged enough, we had to shelf an otherwise good document. So again, Your Excellency, with these action plans, with these commitments, especially commitment number 6 and 7, if we can be able to run away with it as government, we will see very minimal of the kind of upheavals that we've witnessed as a country for the few days. Allow me, in conclusion, Your Excellency, as I conclude, Allow me to commend the drafters of NAP 5 for retaining climate action as a priority #1 in the new implementation phase. Your Excellency, you are the teacher in this field. You are the ambassador, the African ambassador in this particular field. There can never be a better opportunity to put this commitment as #1 than now. And therefore, the implementation, the phenomenal climate change impacts remain of great concern and deserving of our full attention, given the devastation they continue to wreak on our society. As global temperatures soar, drought become prolonged, and frequent flooding more intense in scope. Your Excellency, I sat listening to you during the climate summit, the African Climate Summit, and there's no better person who can put this case in a more compelling manner than you, Your Excellency. And therefore, I believe that having this as commitment #1 gives you that relevance as you engage Africa to make sure that Africa takes this particular commitment with the seriousness it deserves. Your Excellency, let me leave it there. And therefore, with these few remarks, Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you most sincerely for giving the Senate to share some thoughts with you in this journey. And I want to believe that if all of us present here commit to the implementation of these 9 commitments next year, or the second phase, as we sit here to review the implementation of the 9 commitments that have been given today, if all of us purpose to walk the journey, then we'll make not just Kenya a better place, but this continent and the world at large. I thank you.
Let's put our hands together for the Right Honorable Speaker of the Senate. Thank you very much. Well, we are now at that pivotal moment. I want to invite Aidan Eyakuze, who will engage His Excellency the President of the Republic of Kenya on a conversation around what's famously known as a fireside chat. While the stage is being set, Your Excellency, I want to acknowledge the representative of the National Assembly in the person of Honorable Beatrice Elachi. I also, Your Excellency, want to humbly recognize the representative of our judiciary in the person of Justice Sergon. Thank you very much. I thank you. It's my pleasure now to invite Aidan Eyakuze. Aidan is a board member